Action. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Rolling Road, and welcome back to the We Mazda Be Crazy leaderboard. Welcome to round 7 of the We Mazda Be Crazy leaderboard, to be more specific. Thus far, for the first 6 episodes, we have seen a meme's somehow less powerful brother, even though it claimed to have more horsepower, a meme's evolution, a track car that's trying too hard, a car that has the acceleration of a planet, and a car that a lot of people were hoping was going to do a hell of a lot better. For round 7, we shall be looking at this. The Mazda MX-5 ND. 155 horsepower, 148 foot-pounds of torque, 2,310 pounds in weight, and the only Mazda MX-5 that we will drive in this leaderboard that has a definitive, proper 50-50 weight distribution. Everyone keeps saying that the Mazda MX-5 has got a perfect 50-50 weight distribution. Forza Motorsport 7 will tell you otherwise. This version of the MX-5 is the version that has a definitive 50-50 weight distribution. As you can see, it does look rather pissed off. I couldn't tell you at what, or at who, or why it's pissed off, full stop, but it does look very pissed off, and so I shall call it the Aggry-Five. Yes. So, you all know the deal by now. 1 car, 11 tracks, 11 times to beat. Let's see what the Aggry-Five can do. Track 1 of 11, ladies and gentlemen, saw us back in home territory, actually, for the Mazda. We are once again back at Suzuka of the Mie Prefecture. Mie? I'm not entirely sure how it's pronounced. It's spelled M-I-E. Is it Mie? Semantics. Anyways, the ND, or the Aggry-Five, as I'm calling it for round 7. It handled the track pretty well straight out of the box, actually. I'm not going to beat about the bush. This was the car's 3rd and final lap around Suzuka. And yeah, I will admit it handled the track straight out of the box pretty well. I'm not going to beat about the bush. Did anyone else just catch that photobombing helicopter? Thanks for that. Anyway, the lap time that the Aggry-Five had to beat was a 2 minutes 39.668 seconds, a time that was set in stone some, what was it, 4 episodes ago, 3-4 episodes ago, by the Trumpet, aka the NC Super 20. The Aggry-Five did its lap on this, its 3rd and final lap, as stated earlier, in a time of 2 minutes 49.067 seconds. It's about a 10.6 second split. 10.6. Oh, okay. Oh, also be wary of this hairpin, because the back end of this car is very, very light under braking. You put your foot on the brake in this thing just as you're coming up to a turn, and the back end just goes, "Hey, watch this," and just steps out. So, bit of warning there. Outside of that, though, it's a Mazda MX-5. Of course it's going to handle brilliantly. What were you expecting? Time to move on to the United Arab Emirates, methinks. It also sounds pretty aggressive as well. I'm not gonna lie, this thing does sound pretty aggressive. Can't wait to hear it go through the Bernese Tunnel. That's going to sound real good. Track 2 of 11, ladies and gentlemen, saw us back at the United Arab Emirates for the Yas Marina North Corkscrew, where this car developed an incredibly bad habit of understeering for the corkscrew section of this Yas Marina formation. It was chronic, actually, was the understeer. It really honestly was. And here's the irony of it. It was whilst the car was braking for a turn, where all the weight is over the front of the car. So you'd think, wouldn't you? You'd think that the front tyres in those circumstances would have the most traction. But no, apparently not. Anyways, the Aggry-Five had a lap time of 1 minute 9.202 to beat. And its best lap was performed here on this, its second lap, which wound up being a 1 minute 12.558 seconds. 3.3 seconds slower to the closest full 1/10 of a second, give or take. It's a good handling machine, don't get me wrong, but I am starting to lose faith in the Aggry-Five. Let's hope the Yanks can help prove the car wrong. Track number 5, ladies and gentlemen, and we were back at the Hockenheimring National Circuit, where this car didn't really do as well as I thought it would around this track. I think the one thing that killed it more than anything else, without the utmost shadow of a doubt, was just the amount of body roll the car was getting through some of the turns. It's a boat through it's a boat on this track, is this car. And to be perfectly honest, that's probably the most polite way that I can phrase it. That said, the Aggry-Five had a time of 1 minute 48.540 seconds. There was no chance. The Aggry-Five did it in a time of 1 minute 53.797 seconds on this, its third and final lap. That is a split, ladies and gentlemen, of, to the closest full 10th of a second, 7.2 seconds. That's how monumental the gap was. 7.2 seconds. I could put the Grand Canyon in that space. That's how monumental that gap is. I really hope this car improves its performance the further we go. I really, really do. Where are we going next? No! Denver! Get out of my head! You had one track. One track. Stop it. Track number 6, ladies and gentlemen, saw us back at some country roads that took us home. We were at the Virginia International Raceway South Circuit formation with the Fail Race Rallycross altercation, and I'll admit this car did a lot better in the off-road sections than I originally anticipated. Kinda sorta like what Planet Mazda did, aka the street version of the NC from episode 5, was that? Yes, from episode 5. Or round 5, sorry, excuse me. That said, the Aggry-Five did its best lap time on this, its second lap, in a time of 1 minute 26.676 seconds. Now you might be thinking, that's not too bad a lap time, but it had a lap time of 1 minute 26.389 seconds to beat. That's a 3.3 second split between the Aggry-Five and the NC Super 20, aka the Trumpet. I mean, I suppose I'd rather a 3.3 second split over a kick in the bollocks, but at the end of the day, from the perspective of a race car driver, What's the difference? Anyways, time to go and drive around a rock that is apparently lime flavoured. Track number 8, ladies and gentlemen, saw us back, still stateside, this time at Road Atlanta, where through left-hander just now, on lap 1, the Aggry-Five actually proved it could hang with the Formula Drift cars, which was seriously impressive. Anyways, this was the car's third and final lap at Road Atlanta, and the time it had to beat was a 1 minute 45.191 seconds. Before anyone asks, no, that wasn't your exposure, that genuinely, honestly was what the in-game lighting was doing. And that's a lens flare even J.J. Abrams would ask to reshoot, let's be honest. Anyways, the Aggry-Five performed its third and final lap in a time of 1 minute 48.813 seconds, which makes it 3.7 seconds slower than the NC Super 20, aka the Trumpet. Don't really know what I was expecting, to be honest. I mean, the car handled the track well enough. There was some oversteer here and there. Outside of that, yeah, pretty decent car for what is a pretty tricky track to drive, actually, upon reflection. Or at least it is if you don't know the layout. So, again, you know, citation needed, I suppose. Are we going to show that oversteer moment? Okay, yeah, we are going to show that oversteer moment. Okay. So yeah, here we go. As stated just now, this was on the car's first lap around Road Atlanta. We're coming up to the final left-hander of the track. This left-hander coming up on this chicane. And I think what happened was I downshifted too sharply. And, yeah, the rear tyres locked up on the downshift into second gear. And we got a monumental amount of oversteer. It was pretty fun, don't get me wrong. As I say, it proves that the ND can hang with the Formula Drift cars. Makes me wonder, actually, why no one in the Formula Drift competition has got an ND as a drift car. Food for thought. Let's head on over to Switzerland. After you all regain your sight. I do apologise. Our 11th and final track for round 7 saw us back in Dunsfold, England on the Top Gear Aerodrome where, oh my days, this car was so much fun to drive around this track again. I had a whale of a time. The time, speaking of, that the Aggry-Five had to beat was a 1 minute 25.299 seconds. And on this, its third and final lap did a best lap time of 1 minute 28.411 seconds. There we go through Chicago on the way up to the Hammerhead. But the point is that that's a 3.2 second split. And do you know what? I honestly do not care. That's how fun this car was to drive around the Top Gear Aerodrome. Here we come up and through the Hammerhead, which I will admit this car handled surprisingly well. It really honestly did. Again, huge amount of fun. This car plus this track equals a whale of a time. Go and try it. I implore you to do so. Here we go through the follow-through, where we may have had some slight understeer. Through the exit of the follow-through, we were at 103 miles per hour. Here comes the penultimate corner. There we go. Up to Gambon. And across the line. 11 tracks, 1 car. You know what's coming next. To the conclusion. in conclusion, the Aggry-Five was unsurprisingly at its best around the Lime Rock South Chicane circuit, where it did a time of 1 minute 7.381 seconds. I was so sure that it could have, at the very least, made it a three-way tie between itself, the protagonist, aka the NC MX-5 Cup, and the Trumpet, aka the NC Super 20. I was so quietly confident that it could have at least tied with both of those cars, but alas, it did not. On the whole, however, this car was... who am I to kid? This was a brilliant car to drive. I mean, okay, sure, Mazda did take some huge liberties with the designing of this thing. I mean, look at it. It looks pissed off even when it's happy. Not even sure how that's possible. They've made something look pissed off, but simultaneously they've made it look overwhelmed with, like, sheer happiness. Kudos to Mazda for somehow pulling that one off. This car is the perfect tribute to the NA MX-5. This is the perfect tribute to Phil that we saw way back when in round 1 of this championship. And I congratulate Mazda wholeheartedly for pulling this off. I mean, yeah, sure, okay, they've had to try and make it look a bit more edgy, whereas you look at the NA, so Phil and the Gutless Bastard, and the NC, so the Trumpet, the Protagonist, and Planet Mazda, aka the Super 20, the MX-5 Cup, and the MX-5 Street Edition. And those cars have got very soft, rounded edges. And to be perfectly honest, that's tragically where all the undeserved gay jokes come from with the MX-5. The stereotype being that the MX-5 is a hairdresser's car, or a car for the more, flamboyant gentleman, shall we say. Or an incredibly feminine female. The ND does try to break that stereotype, and for the most part it works, but at the same time it doesn't. It looks aggressive, but you know it's soft underneath. It's slow car fast, but you know it's going to be a nice drive. Mazda have kinda sorta contradicted themselves with both the looks, the handling, and the performance of the ND. And I implore them, I congratulate them for that sense of irony, really, in the ND. I applaud them for it to no end. But here's the big question. Would I recommend you get one either in-game or IRL? Is that a trick question? Of course I would! Seriously, if you want a real good handling two-seater open-top sports car, but you don't want anything that's, we'll say, 5 years old or older, go out and get yourself a first-run ND MX-5 when they first hit the roads back in 2016, because I want to drive one IRL so bad. It's not even funny, actually, as to how bad I want to drive an ND MX-5 IRL now. But the problem is that on the second-hand market, at least here in the UK at least, you're looking at about £16,000, which is a lot to part with on an MX-5. That is a huge amount of cash to part with on an MX-5. But joking aside, yes, if you have the money and if you have the patience to try and find an ND MX-5 on the cheap, then I implore you, get one IRL. And then write to me so I can drive it. I mean, what? Hang on, production's telling me something. What do you mean the insurance of the company wouldn't be able to cover it? What do you mean we don't have any insurance, full stop? Well, this is news to me. Anyways, Thank you all so much for watching round 7 of the We Mazda Be Crazy leaderboard. I hope you've enjoyed watching this as much as I've enjoyed producing it. If you've liked what you've seen here, please do make sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, maybe even share it with a couple of your like-minded friends. I don't know, it's up to you. I'm not your parents at the end of the day. As for round 8, which will be uploaded tomorrow, a couple of episodes back I mentioned that something big was coming up. I finally remember what said something big is. And tomorrow, to celebrate said something big, we get to drive my favourite car, or my close second favourite car, on the leaderboard. So until then, folks, this has been Lewis for The Rolling Road, saying thank you all so much for watching once again, and until tomorrow's episode, take care of yourselves.